Starting. Get rid of my picture. This doesn't really matter.
I hope everybody's comfortable where they are. If you were in the gallery, they'd be keen to hear for you. But we have some visitors that are watching this as well. So what I'd like to do is really welcome you. I mean, it's been so long. My show was, I'll tell you about it. It was hard to do. It was hard to pull together because of all the things that have been going on the past couple of years. So if you, throughout my presentation, if you have any questions, if you could write it in the chat, that would be great. And the people who are here can't do that. They could just ask me as we go along. And also we'll have questions at the end. So hopefully everything is working well. I realized today that I've been a member since almost 20 years. My first show was in 2004. So it's been a long time. And I've noticed over the years that people actually put a lot of work into making when you have a show, you have to put a lot of work into making the pieces, making the work. And you also have to, at the end, you have to figure out a title for it, which is sometimes the hardest thing, because you want it to say what you've been doing, you want it to invite people in, but sometimes when you do different kinds of work, it's hard to do that. So my work, as you'll see as we go around, basically, I didn't follow the notion of one theme. I didn't follow the concept of political commentary or figurative work or anything like that. All the work that I've got here, I've done since my last show, which was March 2020. And so it's been COVID time, and it's caused a lot of alone time and a lot of time just thinking about what you're going to do. And so with all that in mind, I thought a lot, and I came up with a lot of things that I made. But for a title, that was really hard. So I was talking with a friend of mine, and I realized I had just said, it's like when you're driving down the street and you're not thinking of anything, and all of a sudden an idea comes through your mind. And then I said, or like walking down the street. So she said, that's your title. And I went with it because actually everything that's here really is what's caught my attention. No overall theme. I've got a lot of things that I've been working on, and I'll show you that I've been working on over the years, and I will probably continue to work on because I think they're interesting, but I don't sit and make everything around a theme and explore all the possibilities. I leave that for, a couple months down the road or something like that. So what I'd like to do is walk around the gallery and show you the work that I've got. And I guess we should start at the beginning, right? It's over here. Those of you who got my postcards, my invites, this was one of the pictures on the front, and it's really walking down the street. You're picking up all sorts of textures, and this woman is just ready for anything to happen. She's being very calm too. So, and as we move down here, I've worked with a lot of figures, as you'll see, but different challenges and different things got me going. This lady was the result of actually at random with some friends picking out 3 words to work on. And the words I picked for her, or that caused her creation, I guess you could say, is accident, contract, and glow. So if you were to go through a dictionary and do the same thing, I wonder what words you would pull up and what you'd make from it. Then these are other figure studies that I've worked on. And down here, sort of getting more abstract was fun. I also took some workshops where I studied the figure. And then I took liberty to try a collage and had really a lot of fun. I mean, the difference between 2D and 3D is remarkable. Clay I've worked with for over 30 years, and it's my true love, but collage and 2D and printmaking and painting are really fascinating. There's a lot to learn with it. Another thing that came across during this time were people who caught my attention. This is a filmmaker that Frederick Wiseman, who pulled together collages of interesting documentaries. And in terms of another challenge, this is a piece that I made in response to growing old. And it's titled, Taking a Moment. Am I obsolete? So going along, you'll see there's quite a variety. I went very formal to very abstract, and I'm still trying to get across sort of a feeling of the figure and of the individual. And I followed with another abstract piece. And then coming along, I decided, well, animals take place in this world. So I started to think about what can an animal say, or nature. And we have the monkey, we have a dinosaur who's extinct. And what does it mean to be extinct? Not to be around anymore. There's nothing like you. And then here we have nature colliding with man, basically, and man-made structures. And I'm not sure in the battle who's going to win. And then we get to printmaking. And I started getting abstract again. And so we have, this one I'm calling Moments of Joy, because each one was just a brief working. It's a monoprint. And it was done very quickly at the moment, as compared to the next one, which actually is an author, Toni Morrison. Again, it's a monoprint. And then I have several studies of a figure. The visitors here can come along too if you want to see stuff. And different versions. I like to work with, this is gesture, this one's a gesture. Actually, they all are in their own way, just to capture something. And then,
Stefan says fabulous.
thank you, Stefan. And then I sort of wandered into the world of painting, and I had a very limited palette, which was very good because a lot of colors can come from just a few original tubes, shall we say. And I had a lot of fun with it. That one I'm calling Wild Moments for the moment. And the whole back wall actually is my latest adventure into printmaking. And this is solar plate. And what I have here, a solar plate, they're prints made with solar plates. So this is a plate I'm working on now. I don't know if you can see it very well.
Put it in the light.
Put it in the light. This is what I'm working on now. And basically my tools, my favorite tools will have a Q-tip, a watercolor aquarelle pencil, and basically a brush, which I use to bring in water. And you can get all sorts of depths of color with it. And when it prints, what I'll do is expose the glass and basically etch it onto a plate. This is a solar plate. I don't know if, okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
with the image prints on it. So when I ink this, I can use 1 color, 2 colors, 3 colors. I can put, was it aloe coupe in different areas and to bring out. And then this is another one. This way?
Yes.
Ooh, I hit the right spot. I can't see it. So this actually turned out to be this print. And I could change the color. I can wipe off more in some areas or darken areas. And the other one, this one, is this. So it comes out to be pretty much the same size. And it's a totally different way of working with imagery than clay. You know, it's flat for a start. And when you add color, you add a whole nother world to it. This piece, this framed grouping, I've added a specific ink in here and in here and here. That's called chincolé, where you put in beautiful pieces of paper underneath the format. And I think that might have been just watercolor to put in there. So with that in mind, I made a series of 16 of these smaller images, these solar prints. And they all are basically just from my imagination. Over time, I realized I started having a theme here. There's some symbols going on. Obviously, there's a woman, almost in every one. There's a bird tucked in somewhere. Sorry, Jean, if you're watching. And then I started finding, well, I put in rocks and rock walls and they turn into bubbles. And then I have a whole series with bubbles on them. And what's that all about? And I had a real moment when I realized that the bubbles were bubbles of joy. And so I can keep going along these lines. And I could keep making more prints, or I can start putting different colors with these, or chincolé with different papers, or I could put together a book with it. I mean, I've already been writing some poetry, but that's not yet ready for public consumption, having to do this. And then I decided I'd try to do a 3D version, which is this lady right here and this piece. I'm going to turn it a little bit so you can see. It's like my old work where I used to work in carousels. And this tells a story as you turn it all the way around. Right here to where you get to the reader down there. And I find it, someone said to me that your work is mystical realism, and it's like a light bulb dawned over my head. And all of a sudden I have permission to do the kind of stuff that I've been doing. There's a reason for it. And it's not just totally off the wall. So I've been really having fun with this. And here's another piece along the same lines. And these are the bubbles. So during this time, during the time of COVID, when we couldn't leave, in the gallery, we had a challenge that we passed each other an image, and we had to build from the image, and then we passed that on to the next person all around. So one of the images that was going around was self-portraits. So this is my self-portrait. And here we're getting back into a painting. It's so exciting to paint because you can either be realistic, you can be abstract, you can have a meaning behind it, you can do so many different things. But this is, what do I call it? Old roads traveled. It's the pebbles and the gravel that's in the bottom of a dirt road that you see when all the fine particles have been washed off. So you can do so much with color. But you form things with color, not like with clay, because clay, you form it with clay.
Yeah.
So, so here's, and then this is what sort of helped keep my sanity. These are moments of the real world. I tried to figure out some sort of symbolic representation of things that happened. You may be able to guess some of them. Some of them I think are a little obscure. But they all were made for a reason or something that specifically that happened. Obviously, this one is springtime. You know, that was great. Spring actually came. And down here we have, I can hold it up. Here's Ukraine with the bag still packed. They couldn't take it with them. Forest fires in California. Zoom, one of our, and this is COVID. And I filled it with cloves, so at least it smells good. And this is, well, you can probably tell what this one is without me saying. Pregnancy, yes, gift. Sticking to the thing. And this is the wall. So it was pretty straightforward. I mean, this is obvious too. This poor fellow. All these they're pretty straightforward. And this is being alone and what people do when they're alone. And sometimes they go and just keep themselves company. So there are a lot of, and this one's the obvious. I made this when the vaccine first came out. So, and to me, this represented all the work that I've been doing with printmaking and opening up a new world. So anyway, coming right along, here's Angela Davis. And this is protest. This is called, this one. Is, you okay? This one's not right. Called It's Not Right. And some things just aren't right these days. I tried to show discord in there. And then here the next piece is one that I've been working on for a long time. I call it Humanity. And actually we're all trapped up and confined in our particular spot. But this one I sort of gave a challenge for people if you want to come in to make your vote. But the question is, how many faces are in here? And if you guess the correct number, you get to pick a face for yourself, free. So come to the gallery to see it. And this is the peaceful acceptance of many things that are put together in different ways. Just acceptance of what's going on. On another note, here's people, a conversation. A casual conversation. I fired that many times, but and then we have a question of balance, which really is, to me, this is a painting, and it's on paper and it's off balance. It just doesn't feel right, and as such, I mean, part of it does, and we have units of 3, but it's just sort of uncomfortable in that it's not quite balanced. So coming right along, we have another couple that's not quite balanced, but this is, I guess I call it another painting experiment. I tried to capture what people are feeling. So we're almost through. I made this lovely lady, and I love the clay itself. I thought that all she needed was just a little touch of red. And this one this was a challenging one for a title. And here there are 5 different smaller figures that I made, each with a different name: flowers, help, teacher, an old friend, young lady. And then this last one was another challenge I did. It's a particular artist who I admire, and I tried to see if I could make a piece based on who he was and his work and the type of work and his portrait at the same time. So I could spoil it and tell you who it is, but maybe some of you will be able to guess. And then lastly, there's 2 pieces here. This is a monotype and an intaglio done, which I've learned from going to Equinox Press. And that one is "What Does It All Mean?" The title of that. And this last one is a solar plate that I made called "What? Me Worry?" So anyway, thank you very much for coming to see my work. If you have any questions, put it in the chat, or and we'll read them, or maybe someone in the audience here has a question. Does anybody have a question?
How do those solar plates really work?
How do the solar plates really work? Really like that. You take the glass. Let me get in the light. You take the glass and you put not the sun, but a light on top of it. I guess you could use the sun, but the light's more controllable. And it goes through and hits the plate that's underneath that has an emulsion on it that burns off, and you wash it off. And then once that's done, you have to do some curing, a little bit of curing to it, but then it becomes a real plate that you can use. And that there's so much potential for it. You can also put one plate on top of another, so you can merge images. Photographers use it a lot. So, yeah. So any other questions?
I can talk a little about the use of color. As a 3-dimensional person, a lot of times color is not as valuable, or not as important as paint, for example.
Yeah.
And some of your things about color, then it seems like more so even recently. So,
It's that influence of the 2D.
yeah, right. And I was going to say, people talk to each other over there. 3-dimensional, there's a lot of color. You want to
Thank you.
speak about that?
Okay, people have been talking too.
Okay.
People are asking questions and I can't spit them out fast enough because
Okay. What question do you?
you have to talk to them because they can't hear me.
I can't hear you. What questions do they have?
Tell somebody to repeat their question, one person,
One person should repeat their question.
and I can read it to you.
You should,
Either that or we can get the other microphone. So,
Okay.
Karen, you should repeat the question for the Zoom
let's
people.
see. Stephanie, ask Stephanie. She was there first. I don't know who she is, but Stephanie had a question.
Stephanie, do you have a question?
Stephanie wants to know, what do you like about clay?
I
I'm waiting for her to type it again. so-
type it in again so we can read it.
Oh, that's the question.
She was the first one, so I remembered her name. But- Okay, Icy Trapper says, your work is beautiful, you've grown something, and then it goes off.
Thank you.
Maybe Betsy can,
Betsy, can you see any of the questions?
okay, Stephanie says, that's a question about clay. She had a
Okay.
question about clay, but, okay, Jean Mathiasen says, Karen, do you use models? Great show.
Oh, thank you. And sometimes I do. Yes.
Thank you.
And sometimes I don't. But there's always something to be learned from working with a model, no matter what. It really makes a difference with your work.
This is the chat box.
Oh.
I'd like to see it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That's helpful.
Thank you, Izzy. please repeat the questions.
Okay, Stefan Schweitzer, to everyone, what's next?
A Renaissance artist. That's a good question, Stefan. What's next? Actually, I was thinking, well, maybe in the gallery we could get together and have a what's next time. But what's next, I think, actually, besides cleaning up my studio, that's important. I think I'm going to continue with the events tiles. I mean, I have to respond to things that are going on. And I'm going to continue with the solar prints. As you, I've got that glass already drawn on.
Izzy Trapper says you should pursue color.
Pursue color.
Yeah.
Oh, Izzy, thank you. Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, with a little dot, you can pull someone's eyes just to a certain spot. And pebble. Oh, pebble. The pebble painting. Yeah. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that everybody had a chance to see this show. I know it's been hard. Our gallery's street has been under repair, although the asphalt is down now. So it's much better. There's not a foot drop to get to the road. And then there's COVID, but that's, well, who knows what's going to happen with that. So thank you all very much. We have, our next show is going to be Betsy Jo Williams and her daughter, Amy, are going to be showing in November. And in December, we have a holiday show, which any supporting member is welcome to put work into it. And for both of these shows, we're going to have another third Thursday. So hopefully you'll get to attend, and hopefully if you're an artist, you can put in work into the holiday show. Thank you all very much.
Thank you,
Well,
Karen.
yeah, Joe Trapper says
Invitation.
he likes your people. Diana, absolutely beautiful. I especially love that. I can't see the rest of it.
I can't see any more questions.
All right. Yeah, we need a new way to get the questions.
We need to work on this. So anyway, thank you all. And I wish you a good night. Thank you, Peg and Linda and everybody. Have a good night.
Very good. Bravo.